After 10 years, EA's exclusivity deal with Star Wars has come to a head. And let's just say, it won't be one that's forgotten anytime soon. Truth be told, it didn't end as badly as things may have looked at the beginning. A reimagining of Battlefront delivered in 2015 with an atmosphere that was really unique. The sequel, which put Star Wars in the spotlight of video games, but for all the wrong reasons. Despite that, as it stands today, it's an excellent Star Wars package that, for me, was dropped support on too early. But this was the turning point. Respawn crafted an imperfect video game that was perfect Star Wars in the form of Jedi Fallen Order, whilst a year later, EA Motive cooked up a hugely underrated and immersive successor to X-Wing vs TIE Fighter in Star Wars Squadrons. Rounding out the 10-year window is probably one of my favourite games this year, Jedi Survivor, the ultimate Jedi game we've ever received and probably the most broken one too, which was such a shame. It's in a better shape now though, so yeah. Anyway, EA's time with the franchise did wind up a mixed bag, but Star Wars should never be tied to one publisher or studio. This franchise deserves innovation and diversity amongst its offerings. In fact, it needs it. That, my friends, is what we're getting. I actually think that the franchise lends itself so well to video games in these aspects. Where people are divided over the more recent shows, I think that video games can offer a medium which can immerse you in this amazing universe in a different way that the shows can't. So, with that said, let's talk about the exciting future of Star Wars games. So, I'm going to start with everything that's officially announced, and then we'll talk a little speculatively. What a better place to start is there than straight off the back of Summer Games Fest season with the reveal and unveiling of Star Wars Outlaws. Billed as the first open world Star Wars game, though I think Jedi Survivor would like a word on that one. It's set between episodes 5 and 6, developed by Massive Entertainment. You play as scoundrel Kay Vess, and whilst we don't have too much information on the story right now, it looks like it's based on a high stakes heist and being on the run. Now, this sounds cool, but what if I told you your companion is a commando droid in a cool Star Wars trench coat called ND5? I think I'm already sold. Look, I think this looks great. From a technical perspective, I think it's really pushing the boundaries as we can now fly out from planets straight into space and then through hyperspace. This was something that was only ever spoken about in the original cancelled Battlefront 3. So, we've got straight up shootouts and showdowns as well as dogfighting in space. There's a couple of neat things I really liked. One was the idea of a wanted system. This has huge gameplay potential and fun, particularly in the Star Wars game. We're yet to see many wanted systems outside of Rockstar games, so a Star Wars spin on it, it could be really fun. Your companion Nyx, who is not only the usual adorable companion, but has gameplay offerings like distractions, fetching weapons, and a few other things that look cool. It looks as though we're going to have a vast amount of planets to travel to as well. Tatooine, of course, but also Kijimi and Canto Bight from the sequel films. I think we're well due an Outlaw Star Wars game, and this has the billing of a great one. Massive Entertainment produced absolutely gorgeous looking vistas and worlds, and since its announcement a few years back, I've been really excited to see what they can do with Star Wars. The gameplay demo, I will say, it didn't overly do it for me, but that's more of a fact that when we get these kind of walkthroughs, they feel too scripted, and the truth is that nobody will play the game like that, so you don't really get a sense for how the game is going to feel. But I am massively excited for this one, pun intended. It's due for release in 2024 on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S and PC. Okay, Star Wars Eclipse. Potentially one of the greatest CG trailers I've seen, not just for Star Wars games, but video games as a whole. The atmosphere, tone, direction, music, it was all top notch. This is a game by Quantic Dream and is billed as an action-adventure game with multiple characters playable, which sounds extremely ambitious. It's set in the High Republic era and is billed as usual with Quantic Dream games as a choice and consequence game. It all sounds extremely exciting, but it seems like it's a ways away. Quantic Dream has been highlighted for its workplace issues, and reports by Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming say that between that, the ambition of the project, and the hiring issues as a result of the workplace problems, this one has a tentative 2026 release date, which may be even further delayed. Likely, out of all the projects that are announced, this is the furthest away project. The idea of this though, it is very exciting. It's not been since KOTOR 1 and 2 that we've had multiple playable characters, and personally, I would love to see more of the High Republic, which is the golden era of the Jedi. If we get a party system, I'd be so down. This sounds like on another scale to what Quantic Dream have put out in the past, so hopefully this game's vision can be executed and its workplace issues are addressed and continue to be worked on. I think a video game outside of the books and comics in this fashion is the perfect introduction to the High Republic and to get to really know it. Though we do have our first on-screen look next year in Star Wars Acolyte. A video game allows for more exploration and immersion in this time period, which could lead to the High Republic becoming a fan favourite, and I'm keen for more of it. But yeah, this one, it seems a ways off, but I am very interested in the potential on it. Alright, Respawn Entertainment. They carried EA on their back for the last few years with both Jedi games. They've essentially been given the keys to Star Wars. They're like if Dave Filoni was a video game developer. Fallen Order and Survivor are excellent and clearly huge hits because Lucasfilm Games were like, here, have it all. So Respawn have got 3 games in development, 2 announced and 1 that you can bet every last credit it's coming. Let's start with that one, the unannounced one, the 3rd Jedi game. It's pretty much all but announced at this point. Stig, the game director, has said there's plans for a trilogy and they want to do a 3rd, and the way the 3rd game tied up, yeah, I don't doubt that for a second. I love the Mantis crew. The sequel pivoted in a way that I did not expect. We got High Republic representation which looked incredible. The 5 stances which were so fun to mess around in. Everything was bigger and better. I platinumed the first Jedi game and got all the Steam achievements for the second one. I really love those games. Cal's path takes a darker turn in the second game, and I'm excited to see that explored further in the 3rd one, and to be honest, I'd hope that's the final game. I'm not going to talk spoilers. I'll link a video in the description with my spoiler thoughts on Jedi Survivor. The best part is that they leave it open. There's no telling where the 3rd game may go. I just hope that this game ends up way more polished for launch. Again, no announcement or release date on this one, but if we go off the past cycle from Fallen Order to Jedi Survivor, we're looking around 2027-2028. So, what else have they got cooking? Well, details are pretty light so far, but they've got 2 other games in development, a first-person shooter and a strategy-based game which they're working with BitReactor on. Let's start with a first-person shooter. Truth is, there's only one thing I need to say. Titanfall 2. For me, one of the best first-person shooter campaigns ever made. Couple that with the rumours and speculation that they're taking inspiration from the Dark Forces games, and well, we're in business. And alongside that, Respawn's movement in their first-person shooter games is second to none. We have no idea if it's solely single player or it might be a package like Titanfall 2, which could be so exciting. Respawn with Apex have shown that they can do live service in a way that doesn't take the piss with the fans and offers continuous great content to play. There's huge potential for this one. I think that first gameplay unveiling is going to make everyone's jaw drop, I really do. I don't think there's a more capable studio of delivering a truly terrific Star Wars first-person shooter. This pairing to me is like Insomniac with Spider-Man. Their other game is a joint project with BitReactor, and to be honest, I think Star Wars lends itself magnificently to the strategy genre. Empire at War is one of my favourite strategy games, and games of its time to be honest. BitReactor is made up of veteran Firaxis members, so they know what they're doing. It's being developed by them and then produced by Respawn. I think Respawn truly get what makes Star Wars special, so it'll be interesting to see where this one ends up. What era it takes place in. Is it turn-based or real-time strategy? Is it squad-based, fleet-based? We'll just have to wait and see. I'd be lying if I didn't want some form of Republic Commando game in the vein of an XCOM, but I'd take a spiritual successor to Empire at War. Let me use Vader's Venator again, that was cool, man. Again, no release timeline on this one, though I would speculate probably 2025, 2026 if I was to guess. So yeah, EA and Respawn are bringing the heat, but we can't forget when EA extinguished the fire when they cancelled Project Ragtag, Amy Hennig's game at Visceral Studios. Luckily, she's gone on to form a brand new studio at Skydance Media. We have no idea if they're going to be making that game again, but I think that's unlikely. What is exciting, however, is that they brought on board the game director of the famously cancelled Star Wars 1313, which at its time looked unbelievable and is one of the most upsetting cancelled games ever. As of making this video, we have nothing but speculation as to what this project might be, but it seems as though it's in very capable hands. It's billed as an action-adventure game, but that's about it. The studio also has a Marvel project in development, so we're not sure what's due to come out first, but I can't wait to hear more and find out more about it. From single-player action-adventure to multiplayer live service, Star Wars Hunters is an upcoming free-to-play live service game coming to mobile and Switch. It's a third-person arena game where you play as different hunters, which I have to say look really diverse and well designed, and to be honest just really unique even within the Star Wars universe. You can select one of 12 hunters, all with their own playstyle and customization options so that they become your own personal hunter. The game, it does look interesting, though a game for mobile and Switch doesn't exactly scream exciting to me, but I am definitely willing to give this one a shot. It definitely looks like it could be fun with friends. As with all free to play games though, particularly on mobile, we have to keep an eye on its monetization. This one is due to launch this year in 2023 on Nintendo Switch and mobile platforms. Last but not least, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake. Boy, where to even begin with this one? The hopium, then the copium. It is not looking good. So, this was first announced at a Sony showcase in 2021 as exclusive to the PS5 and PC, developed by Aspyr, who's been more recently responsible for the ports of the legacy Star Wars games coming to Switch or console. Then, a bomb of a report from Jason Schreier announced that basically when a vertical slice of the game was shown to Sony and Lucasfilm, they were like, nah, I don't think so, and essentially laid off a ton of staff, and the game has shifted over to Saber Interactive since. Look, this property in particular deserves special treatment. This game to me should look and feel in the vein of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It cannot be half-arsed or shoved out the door. This is some people's favourite RPG of all time. I'm not sure the move to Saber fills me with confidence, but Revan's story in KOTOR is exceptional. Embracer Group claims that the game is still in development. Whether or not that's the case, we'll just have to wait and see. But it's going to be a long time before this game ever comes out, if it does at all. So that's everything announced in the realm of Star Wars games. But a few quick tidbits of hopium. A recent tweet from Andy Robinson of VGC claimed that Respawn and Bit Reactor's strategy game is not the only Star Wars strategy game in development, and we may not be far off hearing more about it at all, which is cool to know. There's also been mumblings for a few years about a Mandalorian MMO game. Few have said potentially it's being developed by ZeniMax Online, who are the creators of Elder Scrolls Online. Again, nothing but speculation on this one, but I think the Star Wars universe could really lend itself to a live service ongoing story. I'm a little bit burnt out on live service games at this point, particularly with the more recent push for everyone going for them. But I really do think that an ongoing Mandalorian story could be really cool. Depending on what era it's set in, I think there's huge potential. So yeah, I think there's hope for the future of Star Wars games. One thing I think that stands out to me is the diversity of the game portfolios here, which is what Star Wars should have. A Jedi game, a strategy game, an outlaw, an RPG, a first-person shooter, a multiplayer arena game. Just like how Andor, Mando and Kenobi are different in their tones and stories, I think that's what's strong about Star Wars in a way that not many other huge franchises are. It's sci-fi, sure, but it can span multiple genres. It can take place on one planet or across the entire galaxy. It can link as part of the Skywalker saga, or it can take place hundreds of years before. Star Wars games are looking more promising and exciting than ever, and I feel Lucasfilm Games has planted all the right seeds with the right pairings in the same way that Marvel games have. I can't wait to get my hands on these games and continue to explore the galaxy that is far away. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting that like button. It helps me out massively and I'd really appreciate it. Truth is, if you enjoy talking all things video games, and particularly Star Wars games, you're in the right place. So go ahead and subscribe. I've got you covered. Have a terrific day, and I'll catch you in the next one.